Hey friends, it's Lisa Mears. Thanks for being here. I'm super excited to share with you the Stamps of Life Club products for the month of September in 2024, and especially this month because it's all about Christmas. And this month features one of my absolute favorite type of Christmas designs, and that is a gingerbread man. So this month features the Gingerbread Fun stamp and die set. So if you're a member of the stamp club, you'll get this stamp set. It has the gingerbread girl and boy. There are some candy canes. There's also a Santa hat and a bow with some sentiments that include have a sweet Christmas, gingerbread kisses and Christmas wishes, season's sweetings, savor the sweetness of the season, and baking spirits bright. So again, if you're a member of the stamp club, you'll get the stamp set, but if you're a member of the Die Hard club, you'll get the stamp with the coordinating dies. Let's take a look at the card kit of the month. This card kit is the Jolly Holiday collection, and it's filled with gingerbread fun. Here is an idea card, so if you need some inspiration, you can look at the idea card. You always get a storage envelope that you can put your 8.5 by 11 inch cardstock in or your card kit contents, and you also get a pack of envelopes that will fit your A2 size cards. You get 12 sheets of 8.5 by 11 inch cardstock in the colors grass, blue jay, chocolate, ginger snap, cherry, cranberry, orchid, Pacific, and 4 sheets of the powdered sugar, which is the solid white cardstock. Here's a look at the paper pad. This is called Holly Jolly Holiday. Look at all these cute gingerbread boys and girls. You also have a sheet of mittens and stars and candy and some holly leaves. There is a sheet of gumdrops. And then there's that same design in the grass color. And then you have the gingerbread boy and girl that you can use your dies if you're in the Die Hard Club to use the shadow dies to die cut those out of the paper pad. And those make for such quick and easy cards when you can just use your dies to die cut them. There's some more gingerbread men, and then you have another one of those top designs there with the pink background. There were some stripes, and here's another sheet with some more gingerbread. Now these particular ones you would need an add-on set to die cut these are not part of the Die Hard Club. The set you would need to die cut those is called Gingerbread Snow Fun, but if you don't have those dies, you can always just fussy cut them with your scissors. Here is a sheet that has the text have a jolly holiday, and that's the word die that corresponds to that particular saying, and that's also included in your card kit. And the font for that word die is the same as what you see there in the paper pad. So here's a red design, and then on the bottom is a pink design, and it reminds me of icing. Then we have some greens. And here is a light brown and some more reds with some white circles. We have black, and then there is the have a jolly holiday in a smaller font, and then it goes all the way back to the beginning and you get 2 of each design. Also included is this super cute gingerbread folded die set. You can use this to make a shaped card, and it will also fit on the front of an A2 size card, but that is so adorable. I love that die set so much. You also get some gingerbread boy and girl stickers. There's some gumdrop stickers in there as well. There are some enamel dots included as well. You also get a pack of holly leaves. So the leaves are made of felt, and then there's a little red rhinestone in the center. So I'll hold these up close so you can see what they look like, and you could just use like glue dots to put these down to your cards, or you can use a glue gun. Those are so pretty. I love those. And then you get some chipboard candy canes. You can color these up with markers, you can color them with your inks, or you can leave them as is. And last but certainly not least is a green ribbon. So that's everything that's included in the Stamps of Life card kit for the month of September. I am going to be making some cards with these products, so be sure to stick around. But I do want to let you know really quick that if you are interested in this card kit, or if you're interested in joining any of the clubs, please take a look down in the description box below where I will have a link for you to find out more about the clubs and to join. And if you are interested in joining, please use my link or coupon code Lisa Mears. I'll pop that here on the screen because you will get $5 in bonus club points to spend in the Stamps of Life store. And I do always appreciate when you use my links because it does help support me and my YouTube channel. So let's go ahead and make some cards, and I am going to start out by pulling out these little gingerbread cutouts of the paper pad. There are 2 sheets that you can use the coordinating dies if you're a Die Hard Club member to cut those gingerbreads out, and those are these 2 sheets that you see here. Just use your shadow die and make sure you use some tape to hold them down as you run them through the die cutting machine, because you definitely don't want those dies to move when you run them through your die cutting machine. Now, as for the other papers that you see at the top of my screen, those I don't have the dies for, so I will just be using my scissors to fussy cut those out. But you can see after running those through the die cutting machine that it cuts those gingerbread out perfectly. And these are awesome because they just help you save time from coloring. But of course, if you need more, you always have the stamps. If you are a Die Hard Club or Stamp Club member, you have the stamps that you can stamp and color. So for my first card, I have the first 2 layers, which is the green solid cardstock and the red pattern paper that I cut with a stitched rectangle die. I did cut the center out of that green solid cardstock because I'm going to save that for another project. I'm adding the pattern paper to the green cardstock, and by the way, that green cardstock, if you don't have a stitched rectangle die to cut that out, it does measure the full size of an A2 size card front, which is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. I also have another white piece of cardstock. I cut that with an Eyelet rectangle die, and then I cut out a square out of the green pattern paper to fit inside of that Eyelet rectangle, and the green pattern paper measures 2 5/8 by 2 5/8. I have a piece of the green ribbon that I'm adding some double-sided tape to because I am going to tape that down to my card. That ribbon is going to go underneath the sentiment. And for the sentiment, I stamped out Have a Sweet Christmas using the sentiment from the stamp set. So if you're a stamp club or a Die Hard Club member, you have those stamps. So that ribbon is going to go directly underneath that sentiment. I'm just making sure that the ribbon is centered underneath the sentiment, and I'll go ahead and attach that to the card layer. And then since it does have the tape on it, I'm just going to wrap the sides around and it will tape right to the back. I'll go ahead and glue the sentiment down. And then I'm going to use the dies from the Die Hard Club set, the candy canes, and I'm going to die cut the solid candy cane out of white cardstock and then the other candy cane out of the red. And I'm just using the scrap paper that I used when I cut this little gingerbread girl out. The back side was the solid red cardstock, and it's perfect for cutting out these candy canes. So no sense in throwing all of those little scraps away. You can cut a bunch of candy canes out. So after die cutting, I'm going to go ahead and glue the red part of the candy cane right on top of the white. And I'll do that for both of them. And now I'm going to add that little gingerbread girl in the square on the card layer. And I'm going to have the candy cane in her hand. I'm also going to use the holly leaves. Now, I was going to use 2, I had a couple ideas. I was going to put them on the sides of the sentiment, and I also thought about putting them in the corners of the square, but I ultimately decided just to use one and add it to the candy canes. Now, you see me using glue here on that felt, but I will tell you that it did not work at all. it just kind of absorbed into the felt. I end up coming in later and using a glue dot to attach that holly leaf. And then for the sentiment, I did add 2 of the enamel dots, one on each side of the sentiment. So here's where I came in and added the glue dot to the back of that holly leaf. Next, I'll go ahead and add this to an A2 size white card base, and that will complete this first card. For my next card, I have a piece of red cardstock, and I'm using an eyelet rectangle, and I'm cutting that out of the center. The red cardstock I did cut to 5.5 by 4.25. That's actually going to be the back layer of this card panel. Since you're not going to see the center of that panel when I add the gingerbread paper on top, I just figured to save paper I would go ahead and cut through the center of that back panel. I'm going to cut a scallop border out of this slimline border die from scrapbook.com. I used some of the green cardstock to do that. And I also have that striped pattern paper that I cut to 5 3/8 by 2 1/8. And that gingerbread paper is measured at 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. So I'm just trying to get a feel for how I'm going to position this. I'm going to start out by just adding a thin layer of glue on the bottom of that striped paper and adding the scallop border right at the bottom edge. So that die is a slimline die, so you can use it on your slimline cards, but obviously this is not a slimline card, so I'm just going to cut the excess off the left and right side, and that panel is going to go right across the gingerbread pattern paper. The circle is going to go on the left side, and I'm going to have a gingerbread man a little bit on the right side of that circle. And then I have all of these little scallops that you can see, and I'm going to take this gumdrop pattern paper and I'm going to fussy cut out some of the gumdrops, just enough to fit on each one of those scallops. So I always love when I can fussy cut out images from the pattern paper to add to the overall design of the card. And you can see that after cutting all of those out, I'm just adding a gumdrop on top of each one of the scallops that will actually be visible after I add the circle and the gingerbread man. So you can see what that looks like up close. And now I'm going to go ahead and add the circle. I die cut the word die out of white cardstock. And I'm going to add that to the circle. And I'm going to have the gingerbread man with a Santa hat. Now the Santa hat, because I used the dies to die cut it out, it did leave too much of a white edge along the bottom of the Santa hat. So I just used my scissors to cut some of that edge off. That way there's no white space between the hat and the gingerbread man. It just looks a little bit more natural this way. So I'm going to go ahead and add the gingerbread man, and then I'm going to add one of the holly leaves on the circle. I'll go ahead and add that layer to the piece of red cardstock. I'll add that to the A2 size white card base. I'm going to finish this card up by adding a green ribbon along the top. So I real quick want to let you know that I will have all up close pictures of these cards over on my blog, and I will have a coordinating blog post link in the description box of this video. I will also have card measurements as well as any additional supplies that I've used will be listed there, as well as in the description box of this video. So if you struggle with bows like I do, you can see that I basically just tied it in a knot, and then I'm cutting a little bit off in a diagonal the edges of that bow. So if you struggle with making bows, give this way a try. Okay, moving on, I have a white frame. I cut that out with a rectangular frame die from Pink and Main, and I added that onto this piece of gumdrop pattern paper, and that's cut to 4.5 by 3.25. I have the pink pattern paper with the white lines, and that I cut to 5 3/8 by 4 1/8, and I'm just going to add those 2 layers together. I have the gingerbread boy and the gingerbread girl. I'm putting one of the bows in the girl's hair. I'm adding the Santa hat to the gingerbread boy. I'm going to be putting the gingerbread boy and girl on the edges of that white frame, so I'll have room in the center to add this sentiment. So for the sentiment, I die cut the words out of the pink cardstock to match the pink pattern paper, and then I added that to a white shadow. And now I'll just add the gingerbread boy and girl on the left and right edge of the white frame. I'll add a holly leaf in the top left and right corner of the frame, and then I'll add that layer to a white A2 size card base. And that will complete this card. So for my next card, I'm going to use the Gingerbread Fold It die set. So this die set has the large solid die, which is the shadow die on the left. I die cut out of white cardstock. And then the layering piece with the face on it, I die cut out of the Ginger Snap cardstock. I'm going to use some ink. This is just some brown ink from scrapbook.com. It's the Gingerbread Ink, and I'm using an ink blending brush, and I'm adding ink all along the edges to make this gingerbread man look nice and toasty. And when I hold this up, you can really see the difference if you remember what it looked like without the ink, but this ink totally makes a difference. There's a lot of depth added to this gingerbread man. So now I'm going to use the die that I just showed you there to add the eyes. I'm using my scrapbook.com Craft Pick Pro tool to place those small die cuts where they need to go. This tool has a wax tip, which makes it easy to pick up those really tiny die cuts that I couldn't necessarily pick up with my fingers and place them with such accurate precision. So this next die is for the frosting. I die cut that twice because unlike the picture that has one little layer of frosting on the arms and the legs, I'm adding 2 layers just to make mine a little bit more different than what you saw in the picture of the package. Another option that I was thinking, but I didn't end up doing because I just wanted to use all of the dies that are included in this set. But you can also, if you have the scrapbook.com pops of color, or even if you have Nuvo drops, you can totally use them like frosting and decorate this gingerbread man. And they come in so many different colors. So if you wanted to have red frosting or pink frosting, or just use the white, you can just squeeze some of the Nuvo drops or pops of color out onto your gingerbread man, and it might look like real frosting because once it dries, it does dry hard with dimension. But again, I didn't end up doing that here. I just wanted to use the cardstock, but that's another option. So I'm turning mine into a little girl, and I put a pink bow on her head, and I'm using the enamel dots, the pink ones, and adding 3 buttons. There is a die if you wanted to die cut buttons using cardstock. You can totally do that, but I wanted to add some more depth to this by using the enamel dots. I'm also adding a white one to the center of the bow. I went with a smaller one at first, didn't like how it looked, so I removed it and added a little bit larger one. So isn't that cute? I love this so much. I'm going to go ahead and add this layer to the white shadow layer. And then I'm going to use some pink ink with a very small blending brush and add some pink cheeks. I think that is super cute. I'm also going to take a white gel pen and add a dot to the center of the eyes. Look how cute she is. So this would look super cute on an A2 size card front on top of some pattern paper. You can see how cute these pattern papers would be right underneath her. But I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to turn this one into a shaped card. And to do that, I'm going to take a piece of cardstock, 8.5 by 11 inches, fold it in half, just using a scoring tool just to make sure that that fold is pretty smooth. Next, I'll take the shadow die, and you'll need to decide if you want your card to open on the top, and if you do, just put your die slightly over the edge of the fold and then run that through your die cutting machine. But if you want it to open on the left side at her hand, Just put the hand part of the die slightly over the fold in the cardstock, and that's what I'm going to do there. I want it to open from the hand, and use some tape to hold this down to the cardstock so it doesn't shift when you run it through the die cutting machine. I'm just going to trim away at this extra white cardstock, and then I'll put it through my die cutting machine off camera, and when that comes out of the die cutting machine you can see that you have your card base. So there's the card base, and then you're just going to glue this cute little gingerbread girl onto the front. I am going to put the glue on top of the card base because you can see that part of the hand is cut off. So I'll go ahead and glue that down. Just line it up really good, and then just press it down. And if you wanted to, you can add a sentiment on the inside, but that's how you make a shaped card. You can even use this die to make garland and put it up in your house for decoration. I think that would be super cute too. For my next card, I have two pieces of pattern paper. They're both cut to the same exact size, 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. I have some circle dies, one slightly larger than the other, and I'm going to position them on the red pattern paper, and I'm going to be cutting them out of this card panel. I'm going to have a sentiment on the front. I'm just trying to decide where I want my circles to be placed and which sentiment I want to use. So I'm going to choose to have my circles in this position, so I'm taping them down, running them through my die cutting machine, and then I want one more circle, and I need to figure out where I'm going to put that one as well as the sentiment that I want to use. I was going to use a larger sentiment and put it there on the left, but I ended up changing my mind quickly, and I'm putting the circle on the left, and I'll be using a smaller sentiment and putting it in the section on the bottom right. So I'm not going to be using the centers of the circles, but I am going to be placing that red panel on top of the stripe panel so you can see the green pattern paper through those circles. So I thought it would be really cute to use these gingerbread stickers and have these little guys peeking out of these circles. So I'm going to use 3 stickers, one in each circle. You just got to think about where you want them positioned and how you want them peeking out. Now the larger circle on the top, that is actually large enough to fit an entire one of these stickers, but I wanted to have this little gingerbread girl so that her feet are tucked behind the cardstock and you can't see her feet, because I wanted to actually make it look like she was peeking out. Now these stickers are so sticky, so I was trying to figure out how I was going to get these to adhere to this cardstock and not my fingers. But I did put some glue on the front, but I just had to try and get my fingers off of the back without pulling the entire gingerbread sticker off with it. If you have some powder, you can also sprinkle some powder on the back of those stickers to get rid of some of the stickiness, but I honestly didn't feel like stopping what I was doing and finding the powder. I just wanted to finish this card. So you can see that I added some glue to the front of the feet and legs, and I'm just pressing it down on the back of that red pattern paper to have it stick. So I added the little girl and the little boy, and I'm going to add another little girl to the last circle. I just think this is so fun and playful, having these little gingerbread cuties just peeking out of these circles. Next, I'll go ahead and put glue on the back of this panel, and I'm going to add it to the green and white piece of pattern paper. And remember, they are both cut to the same size, so just make sure you line them up and they'll go on perfectly. I'm going to add another little detail here by adding some of the candy canes. These are the same candy canes like I die cut on the first card using the dies from the Die Hard Club set, and I just put those die cuts together with red and white cardstock, and I'm adding one of the candy canes in their hands. So each gingerbread will have one candy cane. I did stamp out the sentiment that says Seasons Sweetings, and I added that to the bottom right. I also added a holly leaf to the sentiment, and I'm adding that to an A2 size white card base. So that will complete this card and all 5 cards that I made with the Stamps of Life Club products for the month of September of 2024. I would love to hear which card is your favorite. Leave me a comment down below. And again, if you're interested in joining any of the clubs, check the link in the description box below. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.